Hello and welcome to episode 136 of Gamers A Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Chesson, and joining me this week, it's the other Spark on the pod. He's fresh from those forsaken shores. He's a knitter, not a quitter. It's Mr. James Thomas.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
I'm not too bad. I want to jump in straight away and not talk to you about forsaken shores. I'm sure we'll get to that in a moment. But this knitting, I saw that you are now starting a new pattern. You're starting a new thing.
Oh, yeah. I have to correct you at the top. It's crochet. It's crochet.
That just blows out my intro, doesn't it? It's like, I can't work like this.
I thought I'm just going to let it breeze by. I don't want to stop you at this one. But yeah, Ali's been teaching me how to crochet. So start of the year, I just wanted to try a new little project. And so she hooked me up with a hook to get me going. And a couple of weeks ago, managed to finish off my first large-scale project. So unsurprisingly, it was a sheep. So that took a while to go around it with all the fleece and so. But I had a good fun with that one.
Yeah.
But it was just one colour. So I wanted to try and stretch myself a little and try and look at a couple of more techniques. So last week I was ordering some wool, which arrived at the weekend. And I've been trying to make, you can probably guess by the colours of green, which of the Mario Brothers it might be that I'm trying to create. But yeah, so there should be hopefully a cute little Luigi coming to fruition very soon indeed.
That's just so cool. I knew it was only a matter of time. You know, there's like an evolution. We'll have a sheep, we'll have a Luigi, and then maybe pizza. It's just like,
well,
next
Ali
up
was
is...
going like, why don't you start with a Kirby? Because, you know, crochet works really well with round things, and there isn't much thing rounder that you like than a Kirby. So.
Yes, and it would be really easy. It's just a pink blob, and if it doesn't work out, you can just say it's Kirby in his knitted form, or his crocheted form, and then just throw it away and run away. So,
well, we were looking at it, and I was getting really picky over the colours of pink that I could find. It's like, no, we can't choose from this site. They're just slightly too bright or slightly too dull. This one's a bit too pastel. It's just not Kirby. So I think Luigi's got a bit more free reign because of the multitude of colours. So
that's so cool. So what is this something that you and Ali just kind of when you're watching TV or crochet, or do you have to like concentrate on it at this basic stage, at this early on in your crocheting career?
I'm definitely still a having to concentrate person
right.
with this. Ali's been doing it for many a year now, so we just have like Community or a film on in the background, and she can just weave the hook, and the wool starts forming itself into sorts of animals and quilts and things. But yeah, I'm like tongue out the side of my mouth, concentrating, staring really hard at it, fingers cramping up as they're not quite as fluid to get round the pattern. So, but it's good. I really like making things.
Yes,
and so every now and again I just want to try a different hobby, as it were. Like last year I started playing with clay, a couple of years before I started going back into drawing, and so I think this is this year's creative output. A wool and a hook and a whole host of gaming patterns.
That's just so cool. It's really good, and yeah, you're right. You know, over the last years, you have kind of done new things. It's really interesting. Just kind of, do you kind of think about it kind of coming up to the start of the year, or it just like inspiration hits you?
It's opportunity, I guess. I've just been in the right place at the right time, because at work, someone else suggested having like clay sessions at lunchtime, and so that sounds cool. And then Ali's been trying to get me to get deeper into crochet, and there was at the start of the year there was a course that she signed me up for that I very much enjoyed. So it just more happens to be like that. But I'm getting to the point where I go like, this year I'd like to try something different. And not even that creativity. Like a few years ago, I started trying to throw NFL balls to like get a proper spiral. Just like this year's challenge is spirals or crochet or clay or something like that. So it's just keeps me ticking over.
I can imagine like an unveiling on the 1st of January, and you come down with like an envelope, and you're like, "So, Ali, this year's
ridiculous project is
drum roll." The rabbits are there giving you a drum roll. Oh, that's just so cool. That's just so cool. No, I'll be interested to keep track of your Luigi. How long do you think it's going to take you to do a Luigi?
Well, the first one failed. I misread the pattern completely, because there's like so many new techniques, and I'm also reading an American pattern, and almost just like baking, American notation is different to British notation, so I had to stop halfway. But I'm halfway through the second attempt, and it's going a lot better. So he might be one of these that, comes out with a gammy leg and a squiffy eye, but he'll be my first proper Luigi, so I will always love him.
He will be your special Luigi, your special boy.
Yes. Yeah, there's a selection of colours, so you never know if Matt plays his cards right, there might be a Waluigi in it as well.
Oh my goodness, don't tell him that. He'll be banging on your door going, is it done yet? Is it done yet? Is it done yet? I'm like, no, go away, Matt.
Hey, I gave him a Waluigi last week, so he can ease off for a little bit.
Yes, he was very happy when you gave him that. He was just giddy with excitement at his Waluigi. But speaking of baking, how good is the Bake Off? Right, we can have a moment. We can have a moment. People are either skipping forward again. I'll just wait for these two to finish. Stop talking about the Bake Off. But the Bake Off, how good is the Bake Off this year?
It's very good. I again was slightly worried. I still haven't eased into the Channel 4 aspect of it. So at the start of the series, I was still very reticent about giving my heart over to these people. But I think Noel is just getting better as time goes on. I think occasionally the forced skits between Sandy and Noel aren't... You can see they're not like a natural duo like Mel and Sue were, but when they're just mingling and talking with the contestants or like taking the mick out of Paul, I'm completely with them. Like I'm on board, I'm sold with them. Especially Noel's shaking Stephen look this year, as to his own admittance. But
it is a look. It's a choice. It's a choice. Yeah. The only thing I find slightly off-putting is that Sandy Toxvig, she doesn't like desserts. So
what? Have I just not noticed this?
Yes, yeah. I was watching the Extra Slice last week, which is the kind of additional program to the Bake Off, which is on Channel 4 on Friday nights. And Sandy was on there, and she was basically saying that she doesn't like dessert, so she doesn't have a sweet tooth. And I kind of, it suddenly became, and because now you know that, you kind of notice where Mel and Sue would occasionally kind of dip in and steal something, or when the tasting was happening, they'd be in there as well. And I just noticed kind of how not involved in that kind of aspect that Sandy is. I know Noel was kind of nicking some things this week, but I'm just, apart from that aside, I'm just absolutely, the new bakers have already, it always takes a couple of weeks, doesn't it? It takes a couple of weeks, and then suddenly they all just settle in, and you're like, I like this person, and this week, Kim Joy, I mean, Raoul is just like, if he doesn't win it, I'm just going to just burn a tent down. Not that tent,
I think if he doesn't win it, I think we're just suddenly going to see him flip and burn the tent down. I think that's going to be the breaking point for the man that will show emotion beyond tears.
He'll just grab that trophy at the end and snatch it out of the winner's hand and just smash it on the floor and walk away with his glass of milk. But this week, it was I think it was Kim Joy. He was just amazing. Was just incredible. And I just, she's very quirky, she's very cute. But this week she was just amazing. And all of her bakes just are so creative and really have such a great slant on them. I just love it.
Yeah, I like the fact that she's bringing not just like a contemporary look to her bakes, but also like a pop culture twist. So the Discworld bake that she did last week, and then just almost again just like comic or pop culture references throughout, and just leaves Paul and Prue going, what?
Yeah.
Well, just like Noel's Fortnite comment, which made me chuckle. And then when you have to explain the joke, you realise you're probably in the wrong audience at that point.
So that's Nick. I was like, he's just made a Fortnite joke. Next we'll see them flossing at any moment. It's just like...
Prue celebrates with a floss next week.
That'd be so cool. Yeah, instead of a Hollywood handshake, you get Prue flossing. But I am enjoying it. There's been lots of, Hollywood handshakes are out in full force this year. I've never seen so many.
Oh my God, the value of the Paul Hollywood handshake is drop a quicking the pound during Brexit. It's ridiculous. It actually gets us enraged. We have a WhatsApp group, because we have a WhatsApp group for everything, for the Bake Off, and just as soon as that hits, you could basically just see the so-and-so is typing, so-and-so is typing, so-and-so is typing. There's just a stream of expletives. Just like the insecurity of that Liverpudlian just needing to put himself across even though the other person's done well. It's like the egotism.
Well, I just love when I think when he gave Raoul a Hollywood handshake this week, I think Raoul actually apologised. I think he actually said sorry as he was reaching for his hand. It was just like, I just want to just reach into the TV and give him a big old hug.
It was when Noel said like, I'm sorry, Paul thinks you've done too well, and Raoul said, I'm sorry. It's like, no!
Because he was like, you get a Hollywood handshake again, Raoul, like that, and he's like, I'm sorry. But he's just adorable. He is just absolutely incredible. But Manon's doing really well. I want to make her Italian meringue cake that she made. I've always been talking to Nicola about making an Italian meringue chocolate cake, and when I saw Manon's ginger cake, I was like, I need to make that. I need to make that because it just looks so good.
So one of the things we've been doing recently is the Thomas's Try Technicals. So during the first few weeks of the Bake Off, we have actually attempted the technical challenges.
Yes.
What was the first week was wagon wheels.
Yep.
And that was good. Like we actually came out with some good results there, but they are far too much faff. Like they're in the realm of like fondant fancies,
right?
Where the amount of effort to actually make just 8 wagon wheels is ridiculous. I think I'm just gonna next time we are gonna go pop down the shop. It tasted well, but no. The week after, was it naan bread? Like naan bread was fine. Like we actually used the pizza oven to fire that up and get some really good naan breads, and it's like really happy with that. Last week, blancmange. Just no. It's not even really a proper dessert. It's just something you get out of the packet most of the time. So we put our foot down with this because it basically comes straight out of the oven or whatever you do with it, and then straight in the bin because none of us like it. So we just need the biscuits that went alongside it. And went down well at work. At least
I don't think you put a blancmange in the oven.
Don't you? Well, this is how little. This is how much respect I have for the blancmange.
Oh, that's just so cool. Did you make the green cake as well?
Oh yeah, we tried to. That was when I was working a couple of evenings to sort out for Forsaken Shores, and I got back home late one night, and Ali said, "Right, I've done some of the cake for you," and I looked at it and went, "I'm really sorry. I'm really tired. I cannot face squeezing a bag of spinach to get green water from it." So we made half a cake that week.
But you made your own marzipan.
Yes, that was really, actually like the pistachio marzipan's really nice.
Oh yeah,
it's got like a wholemealy flavour to it and texture. It's good. It's good. Have you tried any of them this year?
No, I haven't. But I was like, when I saw that, because like Nicola doesn't like marzipan, so I was like, I'm going to make this, and she was like, well, you'll be eating it to yourself. And we're kind of on a bit of a diet kick at the moment for our holiday, so it's kind of we're not even, because normally every year we normally have a kind of eat along to the Bake Off, and we normally find out what's going to be the kind of showcase or whatever's there, and we either make it or buy it and eat it during the show. But we're not doing that this year because we're trying to be trim and trying to be good. And there's something that's quite depressing having like a little fun-sized bag of Maltesers when you're watching all these cakes being made. And I'm like, it's just the same. It's just the same. We go kidding.
I'm not missing out.
Kidding myself, and taking really long to just eat one Malteser and eking it out over the hour. But like I say, I do want to make that Italian meringue because it just looked, when that cake was cut and it was all just the thick meringue, it just looked absolutely incredible.
It was such a nice contrast from the dark ginger inside as well, like presented really well.
Yes, it just looked absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, we have our Macmillan Cancer Research Coffee Morning on Friday as well.
Okay.
Actually, that's tomorrow morning. So I baked some things yesterday, and we are stealing a round from the Bake Off.
Right.
And we have encouraged people to bring in portrait biscuits.
Oh.
So I spent some of yesterday evening armed with a ludicrous number of like piping bags, and. Do you remember the big breakfast? The breakfast
with Zig and
with
Zag.
Chris Evans and Zig and Zag. Yeah, that's my piping skills has made me basically look like Zig and Lag's long lost brother.
Superb.
So it's going well. I'm hoping people will know it's me because I've attempted to put a beard on it. So we'll see how that stands up in the identity parade tomorrow.
That's just so cool. So who's judging? Who's doing the judging at Rare?
It's part of the events team, part of the folks who try and put on the events for the rest of the company. So I've got to try and slip them some pennies to try and put me up the ranks. Although I feel it's going to be one of those blind taste tests where we're all on the stools at the Gingham altar and just waiting for the judgment to be handed down.
Oh my god, that's so cool. I'll keep an eye on social media over there tomorrow. I'm sure they're going to be on there. So I'm guessing you can't post it before you go in because then they would know it was you.
Yes, spoilers.
Strict guidelines, strict rules. That's just so cool. That's just so cool. Excellent stuff.
Cool. There's a small klaxon going off. We've been recording for 15 minutes and I feel we need to to move on from the Bake Off. So I have to
Yes.
ask you, Anthony, how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Well, I think this week, for both of us together, I mean, we were at EGX on Friday, so we had our yearly jaunt down to EGX. We had Matt and Manny as well, were there amongst others. Wee Man was with us, and Faye, and it was really nice actually to hang out with Manny's good lady wife as well, which was really lovely. So the whole group of us were there, and I thought it was a good. I mean, it's always great just to kind of hang out with you guys, but I thought it was a good EGX. I quite enjoyed it. It wasn't maybe as many games. I know we've got quite a long list to talk about. There wasn't as many games as normal, but I still think it was still a really good EGX.
Yeah, I think, as we always say in these sort of wrap-up shows, that when I go to EGX, and I think you're the same, I never want to queue to play the AAA games. There was things like Spider-Man and Destiny there, like showing their latest wares, and there was things like Metro, and I think when it comes to the larger scale games, especially when you get the longer queues, I'm not prepared to queue for an hour or 2 hours to sit down and just... I will probably form an idea through the media at that point in time. I prefer to go and see the smaller things like that. And although we were both quite astounded, there was Life is Strange 2, which came out this week and we'll be talking about later, but that was there, and the queue for it was like an hour, 90 minutes long, and I can understand people's excitement to go and see it, but it's not a game I would want to play under a time pressure or with people watching, or just somewhere where I couldn't actually continue my progress, because it's quite a personal story. I know we took the storylines in different directions for the original, and just having the show noise, the people around you, just didn't feel like the right environment for me. But
no, absolutely. The fact that you would start that game and, like I say, play it, there was probably only had a small slice of the game anyway, so you'd probably only start playing it, and then you would then have to go home. If you enjoyed it, you'd have to go home and then play it all over again, and it kind of almost, I've never, even with the missing achievements, I've never kind of gone back into Life is Strange and done other things, so I've always just been one way, similar to Telltale games as well, and we'll get to those in a moment, but similar to that. But so when it came out this week, I sat down, headphones on. It was very, like I say, it was a very personal space. I would hate of to actually just replay kind of what I've just done. So that perplexed us. That was a little bit weird that was there.
I think obviously they just go for it's an advert at that point, especially being so close to release. They need that real estate in the show to show, hey, we're here, we're coming, big date on the side. The only one that did tempt me, that I didn't follow through because of the length of the queues, was Hitman 2. My game of the year from last year. Just seeing that so close with such a giant rubber duck on display as well. It was drawing attention. But again, I just want to, that is something I want to enjoy at a pace I'm happy with, rather than being squeezed into 15 minutes. But I mean, all those caveats, we did find a good handful of games that sort of ticked our criteria to want to try and play, because there's quite a few of us going round. I think we always look for something that we can play together, something that is relatively pick up and play, so we can get the most of it, and something we can tend to have a bit of a giggle at. So I think it does skew our selection somewhat. So we're not saying these are the only games at EGX, but these are the ones that drew our attention and got us playing.
Absolutely, and it's also games where maybe if you're not everyone's playing, it still looks pleasing and fun, so you're still kind of having fun. And I there was a couple of games that we'll get to in a moment where I was in stitches, especially the top one in our list, which was What the Golf. I was absolutely just bursting with laughter watching you and Matt play that. I just thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, so What the Golf we found in the indie section, and I got drawn over to it thinking it was one thing, and then Matt came over to it thinking it was another type of thing, because it's a golf game that tries to be different on every single hole. It's as much a joke, and I mean that in the nicest possible way. It is a literal joke, just from level to level. It makes you laugh, it makes you almost cry at times because of its silliness. But it just tries to mix it up, tries to keep you unaware. So because of that, we won't tell you everything about it. But the one that drew me to it, there's a 2D side-on golf hole, and almost like Angry Birds, you click down the mouse and then you drag it back to give the golf ball a power, and then you let the golf ball fly. Except the golf ball split up into about 1 million different golf balls, and it looked like a replay at the end of a Super Meat Boy level, where just dozens and hundreds of little dots were running around, and then when they all landed, you could do the shot again, and each of them would take off from their respective line. It was silly, and it was just lovely. And I went over going like, I could do this. I could take a whole game of this. It was just like, how many can you get close to the hole? How many? And then you go into the next level, and it's something completely different. I think we both walked into the demo halfway through, but the very first hole is a traditional one. It's like a 3D. You've got a man next to a golf ball. Pull back the mouse, let it go. The man hits the golf ball down the hole, down the range. Simple. It's a golf hole. Hole 2, man next to golf ball. You pull back the power slider. You let go. The ball hits the man down the range, and you just have this ragdoll physics of a man careering down the hole, and it's just a whole load of just like tweaks along that. At one point, I was popping kittens out of toasters. That was bizarre, and it just kept on. Every level, you wanted to see what the next would do to inspire, and it riffed on games like Super Hot, or I'm sure there's like a Super Meat Boy, and it was just so creative, and it's the kind of game that I'm sure would probably only last about a couple of hours as you just got through all of them once, but it would be worth the money just as the hoot you would have on the way through.
I thought there was one where you were kind of, it was a football pitch and there was a goalpost, and as you pulled back and let go, and you thought it was going to be the ball, but then suddenly the goalpost just launched forward, and you had to get that goalpost into the other goalpost. It was so funny to watch, and it was just really funny just looking at kind of yours and Matt's perplexion every time, like in every hole. It's almost, you start looking, going, okay, what's going to be the thing of this level? Yeah,
what's
exactly.
The bait and switch?
What have we got on here? And there was some really good, and like I say, it did kind of mix it up on every level, and it was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm definitely keeping an eye out for that one. That's going to be a very silly game, but a very worthwhile experience.
Because I think we found a lot of these were on kind of Steam wish list, wasn't it? I think some of them were coming out on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch, but a lot of them were kind of, especially in the Left Field collection, it was kind of sign up to the Steam wish list, which I thought was quite interesting, and also kind of prompted me to kind of download the Steam client on my MacBook Pro to have a bit of a play around there, because there were some really interesting games that I was seeing. I mean, I think Maddie was saying I'm not going to get kind of 4K graphics out of it, but I'm going to get a lot of the indie games that I was interested in and drawn to. I think I'll be able to run those on my MacBook Pro, so I'm just going to kind of have a look at those. So I downloaded the Steam client today just so I can, and I've got a note of all of the games we were playing, so which was quite cool.
Nice. Is this going to be the cry then? I was like, when is it coming out on Switch? Is going to be replaced on when is it coming out on my MacBook Pro?
Yeah, exactly. When's it coming out on Mac Steam? I always start talking about Steam all the time. I've never done that before, which is quite interesting.
You'll become one of the master race.
Yes, exactly. So what else were we playing? We were playing Sketch Showdown. This was the one with the phones, wasn't it?
Yes, I think this was a student project, if I remember right, as well, from a university course. And yeah, this was... I loved what they did with this, because in a similar vein to Jackbox, with Jackbox, everyone obviously uses their phone as the controller, but then this took a bit of like Kirby Magic Paintbrush twist to it as well, didn't it? So it's a party game setting, and I think during their course they only had time to do 3 or 4. I think they said they only had like an 8-week project or something even shorter than that, so it was impressive what they did. So on the phone, depending on what the level was, you had to draw something quite quickly, given a short amount of time, and then it was fed into the world. So the first one was a ski slope, and you had to draw the slope at the bottom. And there were points for the number of twists you got, there was points for how far you could get, and there was points for the amount of accuracy, I think, because there was a giant target on the floor. And so you were allowed a few practice runs. It turns out it doesn't do loop the loops, because I was trying to be too clever at that point, and instead my skier just rammed into the wall that was the first part of the loop. But it was just funny seeing everyone's like instant reaction to draw a slope. Just quickly, draw anything. And then just like as we realised what the game was, it was really imaginative. There was, do you remember Doodle Jump? One of the first wave, there was a game very similar to Doodle Jump, so we had to draw platforms underneath our little characters to keep them bouncing. And I can't remember what the third demo was.
That was the shopping cart where it made you draw. That was it. You had to draw different items, so it kept popping up saying draw a flower, and then you had to draw a flower, and there was lots of different items, and then it just started pouring them from the sky. But you had a basket that you then had to kind of, by tilting your phone, by tilting your phone, you had to keep that basket level, and the one who caught the most at the end was the winner. And I just thought it was really cool. It was really imaginative.
Yeah, it was a very nice little twist on so many of the phone games we've got, because up until this point the Pictionary stuff and the quiz ones are great. I have a lot of them fun with them. We keep using them, and even the Just Dance and the karaoke ones, they're always good. But the fact it was taking it into a different way, the fact you were actually doing platforming or just reaction stuff with it was great. I hope they get an opportunity to carry this on. I was talking to some of my friends at work who went along last year, and they actually saw some of the university students who were there last year turning it into full games this year. So it's... yeah, I think it was jumping ahead on our list. Did you see Phogs?
No, I didn't. And I saw that you put it on the list, but I didn't see that one. What was that one?
So I've got to check that. I think it's Phogs, Phogs.
Right.
It's a game about a dog with two heads. I'm trying to think of the best way to describe it.
Oh, I did. That was on the Nintendo store. The Nintendo kind of Nindy section, wasn't it?
Possibly. I think we played it on PlayStation pads when we went along. But it's like the dog is a long sausage with a head on either end, and then it can stretch itself out. I think is it like Nobby Boy? Was that the PlayStation one?
That's the one. Yep.
And then one player controls one half of the dog, and the other player controls the other half. And so you have to try and get around the level by, one player can bite one thing to turn on a switch, and the other person has to stretch to try and bounce it across. You might have to try and drag, I think it's walnuts or strawberries that were the key to the next level. You have to try and create a U and walk it across. But it's got some really lovely touches. Like, apart from the ridiculous physics of having a sausage dog that can just wibble and recoil back together. But there was one where it was at night, and one player bit a light bulb, and the light then just went straight through the sausage dog and came out the other person's mouth. So, wow. And it was the same to happen with water tubes. So it was very silly fun. You can see a lot of little puzzle elements, and there are even little baddies that you had to try and then herd up and just shove to one side with your sausage-like body. But it shows a lot of potential and has that nice couch co-op ridiculousness to it that I think something like Overcooked has as well, where the physics and everything you can just start poking and having fun with.
Yeah, I was just having a look online. It's by a developer called CoatSync. So it's CoatSync Games, and they say that it's going to be released digitally on a couple of platforms in 2019. But it has such a great art style. As soon as you started to describe it, I knew exactly what you meant, because they had a little plushie of it as well, didn't they?
Yes.
In a kind of a dog basket of this kind of double-headed dog in a plushie, and that was really cool. Now that was really good. That was really striking. It was one of those games where, as you're walking through a very crowded EGX, you noticed it. It was very noticeable.
Yes, yeah. They did well to get on an end cap, shall we say, so they could get people walking past.
So I thought that was cool. And then another one, very innovative, was the Meow Meow. Which Wee Man kind of did really well at. I think he got second on their leaderboard, and that was the kind of homage to Space Harrier. But instead of normal controls, it was actually controlled by almost a kind of accelerator. So, and it was just it was your hand gestures was basically making it go faster. You clenched your fist to go through a wall, and then you were pushing. I think you made a hand movement or kind of pushed your hand forward to make the Space Harrier go faster, or the cat. It was a giant cat that was going through these levels, and it was a one-man developed game, but it was just so much fun. And Wee Man was very zen with Meow Meow, and it was just to a point where, like I say, he got, I think it was second. I think Manny did well as well, and then but no, it was really cool. It was being projected.
Wee Man not to be beaten.
Yeah, exactly. Wee Man it was Tom, but it was projected onto a big wall, so it looked really impressive as he was playing it.
Yeah, it was controlled by something called leap motion, which I'm sure we got sent a little demo box of that about 5 years ago or so, because it's a tiny little box that sits on top of your desk, and it senses, I guess, fingers, anything that breaks the plane above it, so it can sense up to your whole hand.
Right.
And so you're almost just like wafting the... Did you say it was a cat? Is it a cat?
It was, yes. It was a ginormous galactic cat, I think the guy kind of described it as.
It's like something from Parodius of them.
Really
so like as you swept your hand back and forth across the sensor, it could detect how far you were away from it. So, yeah, you were almost just like wax on, wax off, and directing the cat around the world. And, yeah, it just had a really nice, like, SNES era style to it, with like the layered sprites,
and it was just so cool. It was just so much fun. It just looked like a really kind of good. Again, it's kind of one of those games where you would probably play it for a couple of hours, or keep trying to kind of go up against each other on the leaderboard. But it was just it looked so much fun.
Yeah, the way they presented it as well, I could imagine it being in some sort of gaming bar, just being projected above it. Like put your quarter down, put your pound in the machine, and then just have a go while the rest of the bar watches.
Yes, absolutely. You're spot on there. Yeah, you could see this being in the loading bar in something like that, just being kind of there. So absolutely, that's spot on. What else did we play? Oh, Sticky Cats.
Sticky Cat, yes. Again, this was a silly multiplayer game that we found in the res section, and it's, I don't want to be mean, but it was definitely, I would class it as programmer art, or very stylized, depending on how you want to look at it. But the whole premise was it's a single screen competitive game where you are 4 cats in a room. Like there was kitchens and living rooms and kitchens and all sorts, and you had to try and get the fish and then escape with the fish out the window. The problem was you're all sticky cats, and so as you try and jump and bundle your way through, you will probably stick to everything around, including the other cats. And so there's I think it was just like one button to jump or to sprawl across, except you'd probably just like latch onto something and maybe like pull over the lampshade or get stuck in a corner or stuck to the other cats. And it was just a ridiculous, again, like couch game that you would just play for 15-20 minutes or so and just have a great laugh at the time. So if it comes out at the right price point, I can see this doing well as like an amuse-bouche.
Yes,
between other games.
Absolutely, it was just so much fun. It was quite good because there was a random guy came and picked up a controller, and even that, and they were bonding over Sticky Cats. It was just so much fun. Yeah,
because the cats were all different sizes as well, which I think added. You were assigned a random cat with a random name. I think I was William a couple of times, and so you could have a little skinny thing that could fit down the side of. And that was it. There was points where the fish would fall where only the skinny cat could get.
Yes,
so it would fall between the side of the sofa and the lamp, and then you'd have like a big fat moggy sat just waiting for this tiny skinny thing just to emerge with its food, and then just chaos would happen, fish would fly around, and yeah, it was fun. It was good fun.
It was just so much fun. And so I think we as always, we kind of held around the kind of indie left field section, but we did venture into Nintendo, because Nintendo had quite a good presence, I thought, at EGX this year.
Yes, yeah, ridiculous queues for Smash Brothers. Ridiculous queues for it. I think from even very early on, everyone was stampeding to make sure they got as early a possible slot in that.
Yes.
But they had the Nindies section, as you say, which we managed to wander through. I ended up picking up, I keep forgetting the name, The Gardens Between.
Yes.
So I'll talk about that a bit more later on, but I played a couple of minutes of it, and it was enough for me to go, yes, I will buy this when I get home. This is what the power of shows can do, gentlemen.
Yes.
And but we did have a go on Mario Party.
Yes.
Which I was particularly interested in because of the disappointment of WarioWare. Not disappointment in the game itself, more that it wasn't coming to the Switch. And it's not because I dislike the 3DS, it's because I want a party game on the Switch. In the same way that we had WarioWare on the Wii and the GameCube, and they were absolutely fantastic. I was wanting Nintendo to put out something equally silly on the Switch, and so I had my fingers crossed that Mario Party was going to be it. And from the four or five games that we played, I'm happy. I'm happy with the pre-order that I have now made with it.
Yeah, absolutely. The same here. Have you bought it physically, or have you kind of digital download? Or
I'm a digital snob nowadays.
Yes, well done, James. That's what I did. I was just like, I'm going to download it because it's something where I don't think Nicola would play it on her own on her Switch, so I just kind of downloaded it, kind of pre-ordered on my account because that's just something we would play together. But the games we played, I really enjoyed them. I thought they were really good fun. We had someone from the Nintendo booth kind of making up the fourth, which was good fun. We split into kind of 2 teams of 3, but it was still good fun. Even though I don't think she won every single game, but it was.
She did win.
Yes.
She did win overall.
Yes.
There was no punches pulled on this one. We were absolutely destroyed by this lady.
But it was really good. I did like the flipping of the meat cube. That was really good fun. Even though mine flew out of the pan because I gestured too rapidly,
too vigorously.
Exactly, I was vigorous with my flipping, and but it was really good. It was really good fun because you knew there was one where there was just one side that I just had to get, and I was just trying to flip it, and it was very accurate as well.
Yeah, I think we should pull back I've always associated Mario Party with just like really silly games, but involving the main Nintendo characters.
Mm-hmm.
But then during this game, we zoomed in on let's say Princess was in the kitchen. I think it was purely random. It was just happened to be Princess, and she was at the hob with a stir fry wok and a cube of meat, literally like a perfect cube of meat. And the whole game was, can you brown each side of this meat cube? And this is ridiculous. This is the stuff that I expect from WarioWare. So I was delighted to see it in Mario Party. It's like, yes, you have my money now with this.
With the meat cube, you had me at the meat cube.
Yes. Why did you put this in the adverts? But yeah, just seeing all 4 of us there delicately trying to flip the controllers like it's pancake day, just to try and just twist and toss it onto its separate sides was delightful.
Yes, I think, what was the other games that we were playing? There was one where you had to dodge the little guys, the little kind of football guys that were kind of running in from the sides. That was great fun. That was really good.
My favourite is the one where all the characters are on tiny tricycles.
Yes,
and it's the one where you've got basically the Goomba whose legs can barely reach the pedals, just flailing as you're all cycling and wobbling the Joy-Cons to try and get to the line. If that's just a sample, I think they said there's like 80 odd games or something like that. So
yes.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weirder ones. If the meat cube is anything to go by, give me the weirder ones.
Exactly, yeah, just keep the weird. I mean, I wonder if they will have in the game, because obviously the one thing that we didn't get to see was the board. So all Mario Party always has a board, which is, there's always lots of different boards, lots of different themed boards. But we didn't have that in the demo. It was just like showing us those games. And I wonder if there will be a way within the game where you can almost sidestep the board and actually just have a collection of games like that. Say, right, I want to play a random 10 and go for it. And because I just think that would be an amazing night. They were just kind of just choosing those and having fun.
Yes, yeah. They've branded it slightly differently, haven't they? This is Super Mario Party compared to Mario Party. So I don't know whether they're branching out. So maybe, hopefully, because I think I can't remember which game it was, but there was one game that was like a party game that we tried, and I don't think it's on the list, I can't remember it, but we all said the presentation was just a little too long in between rounds, and that I always find just stilts a party game. In fact, it might have been Sketch Showdown, which we can forgive because it's very, very early on, but if you have a party game, you need that bit in between just to be bit snappier, just to get between them all. So that is always my worry with a Mario Party, that the rolling the dice and moving the character and selecting the game is just getting in the way. Whereas you look at the games that used to be in WarioWare on the Wii and the GameCube, they were just excuses. And as the games built up in speed, so did the presentation between, so it became a mad rush, and it barely gave you time to breathe before getting to the other one. I think I basically just want WarioWare, Anthony.
Yes.
I think this is me, maybe just dress it up like Mario Party if you wish, but give me WarioWare on the TV.
I'm just having a look on the press release for Super Mario Party, and they did actually say, test your skills in a set of 5 mini-games with a new mode, Mariothon, and see how you stack up across the globe. So it's actually online play as well. That's so cool. I can shout at you from Tunbridge Wells. That's really good. And then you could do this and away across 80 new minigames. So that, what we're wishing for, is in the game.
Nice,
so we don't have to worry about the shenanigans of the board. But I must admit, because when I used to play the Mario Party games back on the Wii U, or even before that, maybe even the N64, and the whole board was a game in itself, because you can make a player go back, you can destroy where they are, make them run, set them on fire, be fiendish, there's switches, there's changes, and that always kind of had Nicola raging and kind of shouting at me. I should have seen a pattern, but so that always had that as well, so I know that there's fun to be had. But you're right, if you're just Saturday night and you've got a group of friends, then that could potentially kind of cause some problems if you're just all waiting for everyone to have a go, especially if someone's not paying attention and they're not rolling the die, then everyone shouts at that person. It's like, it's your go.
It's your turn.
It's like Seen It. You used to have that with Seen It. Oh, I miss Seen It.
Yes.
I miss Seen It. I miss Seen It so much. Was there anything else? So we played, like I say, you played Gardens Between, which we'll talk about. I had a go in the retro section. I had a go of the Batman 66 pinball. Which was great fun, which was really good fun. I do they have the retro section. There's always some real kind of choice games. I think Matt and I tried to play the bongos, the DK bongos,
yes.
but the game crashed. We crashed the game. We were so good, we crashed the game. So I kind of went off and had a look around, and it was always good to see like Sega Rally and just and all that sort of stuff. But then we found the pinball area, so I had a bit of a go of the Batman 66 pinball, which was just great fun. It was really good.
So is the game itself from the Batman era, or is it a modern table dressed up like the old Batman?
It's a modern table. It's a modern table based on the Bill Dozier 66 Batman.
Okay.
So it's really good. There was one bit where the bat phone was ringing, so the big red bat phone, so you had to hit that, and that caused that made the living room turn around, and then it turned around into a little mini bat cave. And then it was just It was that sort of stuff, and it was a real animated table, and I really enjoyed it. It was just really good fun.
Cool. I always enjoy pinball. I'm sure I've waxed lyrical on here before. Just the physicality of the game itself, and just feeling it clunk around the machine as you go. But every time I walked past, there were always queues. There was never a free table every time I poked my nose round, but because it was right in the back as well, wasn't it?
It really was,
previously the retro sections have been like moderately around the middle area, but this was just like dumped at the back, so it was actually quite nice and peaceful.
Yeah, they had some really good ones. They had a Family Guy table that sounded amazing. The guy playing it next to us, it just sounded, I wanted to play it, but there was a bit of a queue for it, and then I was watching Wee Man play Batman as well, so then we kind of moved on to another area, but it was just like some really good tables. I think they had, was Addams Family there? I'm pretty sure.
That's supposedly a classic as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so there was that. There was a real good, there was about 10 or 12 pinball tables, and they were really good fun.
Cool. But yeah, I think those are the biggest ones that stuck out to me.
Yes.
There was an awful lot of watching things over shoulders that I've got noted down for later on, but yes, I always like to try and give some of the more tactical ones a bit more space, because there's also horrendous. I think we said last time, let's just take pictures. Let's take pictures of all the signs that we want to do, because everything falls out your head after a while. But,
Absolutely, they all look the same. So there was one that we will finish on, and that was the sticky fingers, where all of us we were all trying. So basically what you had to do was it was almost like we were playing like a keep up, so you had to kind of keep the ball up in the air, and each number on the keyboard represented almost like a worm, and it's very similar to a game that I've seen before where they sing, and I was trying to think what game it was, where they cover the animation of it, probably similar to Nobby Nobby Boy as well. But so when you press the key, the worm kind of goes up and keeps the ball up. But so what we decided was that we would all kind of take one or two keys, and what could possibly go wrong,
six of us trying to crowd round a normal keyboard. What could possibly go wrong apart from logistics, size, and space?
I love it. It was just fantastic. It was like, who's got the 7 key? And we're like, we don't know. And it's like, oh, it's me. Hold up a second. No, it's me. It was just so much fun. It was just, I took a picture. I think I stepped back at one point and I got a picture of you guys kind of playing it. And it's just like, it's my favourite picture of the day. It was just like all of us just trying to get our fingers on keys, trying to play that game. It was really good. It was good fun.
Predictably, when Matt said like, oh yeah, I'll take 4 and 7 or something, it's like,
yes.
Oh my, you're not even taking ones close.
Why? You're just trying to mess it up. But no, but like I say, apart, it was good fun. It was great to kind of see all those games and, roll on next year, I guess.
Yeah. Keep on going. I think it's going to get to the point, I swear, I'm just going to be an observer. I just wander around just like nodding appreciatively at some of these games. It's like
taking pictures of everything.
Yeah, for later.
Yeah, you'd be like, well, I took lots of pictures of lots of games, and it was very good.
Let me take you through my slideshow. These are the games that I'm looking forward to.
Superb. So out of EGX, what else have you been playing, James?
So let's start with the one that I tried at EGX and then bought when I got home. So The Gardens Between.
Yes.
I'd heard word of this before I went along, and so it was the perfect opportunity for me to give it a quick dabble. The Gardens Between is a puzzle game based around time, and it's got a touching story. I'm still only about 2/3 of the way through, so I haven't seen it through to completion. Of what I can discern from it's a silent game as well, so you just take it in from the little motions and actions that you do. But each level is almost a diorama of two people's friendship, and I think from where it's based, you can see them sort of like moving into houses next door to each other, but they're kids, so they start making friends. They make a tree house, and then I think as time goes on, they get closer by the looks of things, and it looks like how their relationship develops. And it's got a really lovely aesthetic, because each level is almost like a spiral up a mountain of some sort. And as you push to the right, you walk forwards, and as you pull back to the left, you go back down. So there's only really one sort of course that you can take. And so all the wonder comes from the actual mountain that you climb. There's almost like a traditional level, shall we say? Like, it could be a mountain, it could be streets or what have you. But then it's all tweaked by the fact there's larger than life objects in there. There's levels where you could be surrounded by a computer that you could then jump over some keyboard buttons, or maybe there's like a giant swamp drain that you have to skip over the gaps for using cans as a bridge. And so it's this lovely mix match between there's obviously some imagination, but then it's set in a place that it's supposed to, I guess, signify something, be like a museum or a garden or something. And so each of these levels, which I guess are the gardens, have to be manipulated for you to get from beginning to end. And it's all through time. Like the girl can hold a lamp, and there's certain flowers that produce glowing bulbs that you can then collect in the lamp, and the lamp will dispel fog, which can block your way. But equally, the fog could be a platform, so you want to try and get rid of the lights by the time you get to there. And then that's mixed in with the boy who can almost pull triggers that can allow you to warp the level back and forward through time. And so it's almost like arbitrary mechanics to get these things triggered. So you're having to try and get these people through the level, pulling the level itself back and forth just to manipulate it, or maybe to put little triggers on it. And I probably haven't done the best thing of selling it in that respect, because it is basically a really lovely aesthetic and a really lovely mechanic that gels together really well in a very gentle way, because they're proper head scratchers as well. Very early on, they ease in the mechanics very simply, just to show, like, well, if you pull the level forward, a bridge forms. If you pull it back, you can walk through, and so you have to measure it like that. Later on, you have to look for specific points in time that are of interest for you. So I've just done a level where you have to hold water over an exposed wire to trigger an event. And usually if you're just scrolling back and forwards, it's not there for long enough. But if you just pause it on that section, then the level becomes alive in a different way. So they do some really, really clever things in it. And you're rewarded with these really nice little dioramas, these little snippets of their relationship as they go. But yeah, it started off almost too gentle for me, and I was a bit worried that it was going to be a bit too twee and a bit too just breezing through the levels. But now I'm about 2/3 through. There's a proper. I'm just like staring at this level, going like, I can't. If I scrub it this way, is that if I scrub it? So it really gives back after a while as well. They do a nice job of easing you in and just increasing the complexity as you go.
Wow, that sounds incredible. I think you did a really good job of selling it. I want to. So, what are you playing it on? Are you playing on Xbox, on Switch, or
on the Switch? On the Switch. This is my. Ali's watching something on telly. I'm just going to sit back with my feet up and play it next to her, because it's a nice. It's a game that you don't need immediate. It's not like. You don't need massive reactions. It's a very slow-paced game, so you can just stare up at the telly for a bit, stare back at the Switch for a bit. But
that just sounds so good. And that's the Gardens Between.
The Gardens Between.
I like that. Like I say, when we saw it at EGX, I like the aesthetic. It was another one of those games. There's a lot to be said, isn't there, for that kind of look? And I'll stick a link in the show notes to all the games we've been playing. I'll see if I can find them all and stick a link. But there's something to be said about that kind of almost cartoony, but really stylized graphic that kind of does go, ooh, and it draws you in. It's just like the other game that was very similar to that at EGX was the Untitled Goose Game as well, which was another one of similar aesthetic, but you're like, I don't know what that is. It looks great, and it instantly kind of just pulls you in. So yeah, no, that just sounds really good. I think I'm gonna download that. Maybe I'll download that for my next trip into London or Manchester. It sounds like a great train game to kind of, just like you say, just kind of, maybe I'll be looking at my phone to do work and then kind of going back to the Switch and then doing a bit of that. So that sounds really good.
Yeah. I don't think it's the longest thing in the world, and that's definitely not a criticism. So it's a quality over quantity. I think you could probably breeze through it in about 4 hours or so, but it's good. It's good.
Yes, I like that. So what else have you been playing?
The night of EGX had Manny and folks stopping over to make use of the pizza oven, and whilst we're there, we actually played a game that we discovered last EGX. And it was Flat Heroes. I think you played Flat Heroes last year with us as well.
Yes.
And it's a 4-player, like, mostly cooperative. You know, there's a competitive element to it there, but it's a platformer, Meat Boy type meets Geometry Wars. It's a weird mix, because although it's a platformer, there's lots of bullets raining down, there's shapes coming at you, you have to try and dispel enemy shields or what have you, but you're just a square. Like, we talk about simple aesthetics, you can't get more simple than Flat Heroes, where you are just a square. And there was 4 of us, and we put it on for a little bit, thinking that we might move on to Jackbox or Overcooked later in the evening. But we spent about probably 2.5 hours, I think, just going through going from level to level to level. It's like, everyone all right? It's like, more! And it's this lovely mix of really simple mechanics layered with the level design that just forces you to try and be better. Because you can jump, you can double jump, and you can stick to a wall. Like, if you push into a wall, you can stick to the wall. And that's about it. I think later on they introduce like a shield burst that can, like, a little pulse of energy comes off you to deflect baddies. But that seems to be about it. And so it's all about navigating. It's all about avoiding the bullets that can come down in waves, or the little homing missiles avoidance. And so you just get 4 people who start out in different areas of the map, then just flocking and swarming and panicking and just giggling at that point in time, as it's... If one of you survives, you can get onto the next level. And it was just a hoot. It was one of those simple, addictive games, but it's done so well, and the presentation is so polished. You just keep wanting to go back to it.
And it's very quick, isn't it, to kind of, if you all fail, it's very quick to just get back into that game again. You know, that kind of almost Super Meat Boy retry, where you can just kind of instantly kind of get back into that level.
Oh, yeah, it was almost too quick. Yeah. By the time we died, and I'd reach for a drink and try to take a swig, it's like, oh, no, we're back. Oh, put that. I'm dead again. Oh, okay, yeah. It's really good fun, really good fun. I can imagine solo, because you have to obviously survive. It is more Meat Boy-ish in terms of difficulty, but yeah, we just quadrupled the odds of us getting through that time.
That's just so cool. What else did you play in that evening?
To be honest, I think that was it. We had got Overcooked queued up, but Flat Heroes just kept on going. But we did install Nintendo Online. I am part of a wider family that I can't remember who it includes, but there's 7 other people, I think. So, yeah, I think Manny, myself, Matt, Faye, I can't remember if you're in it. Yeah, we're all a wider Nintendo family now.
Yes.
As long as Nintendo don't ask for DNA sampling, I think we will be all right on this. And spread across the country quite widely. So we just decided to have a poke around on Nintendo Online, and the only thing that is worth it for me right now is the NES emulator section, and I'm actually really quite impressed with it. It's smooth, it's slick. They've only got a limited number of titles now, but the emulation seems really nice, and there's something about playing an emulator on proper hardware, be it like the original NES or the Switch. I'm quite snobby when it comes to I can't just play it on just the PC with an Xbox 360 controller. Just lowering myself to this. So it felt really nice to be on a sturdy controller on a sturdy piece of kit. So I'm tempted to go back and have a look at like Zelda and use the nice save points that you don't get with the original hardware, shall we say?
Yes, I think that's one of the best things, isn't it, about this retro kind of kick that we're on right now, is that the games now have save points, so you're not kind of, you turn off the console and you've got to go right back to the start, so it's just, I started playing Ghosts and Goblins, because I loved Ghosts and Goblins when I was a kid, in the arcade, and I spent many a 10p in those, and I've been many a 10p.
You've just dated yourself with that coinage there.
Absolutely. A threepence. I used to go down to the arcade with a threepence and a stick, and I used to just love Ghosts and Goblins so much, and so I started playing that, and I didn't realise how hard it was. Just how kind of pixel perfect you need to be, and that is a tricky game.
Yeah, it's things like Flat Heroes that I think keep us honest. We become soft. We become soft with these evolving platforms.
Exactly. I'm like, look, I can traverse around Manhattan, I can swing as Spider-Man around, but I can't play Ghosts and Goblins. It's just, you get spoiled by these lovely 3D
Where's the
games.
hand-holding tutorial?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I want level-ups, I want power-ups, where are they? What do you mean by Knight is now naked? That's kind of, but it's such a great game. It's one that I just, every time I look at that Netflix-style kind of list of games, I just go straight for Ghosts and Goblins, and I need to go for some more. I need to put some time in it, and maybe just kind of have a 5 minutes with all of them to see which one kind of sticks and which one I want to play more, because there's some games in there that I haven't played before, so it's quite interesting.
I want to see what their tactics are to introducing new titles, because on one hand it's like, wouldn't it be great if they had everything?
Yes,
but then there's part of me going, in the same way like Netflix occasionally loses films and just rotates its catalogue. I can almost see the benefits of it having just that pure 20 odd games. We're not going to blow your mind with too much choice. We're just going to keep cycling this, maybe, and going okay, this month here's these games, this month here's these games, and obviously maybe keep them on for longer than a month. But just the notion that you're going to get a curated set of, we're going to look at these ones, these are the ones we want you to play. I can see benefits either way, so just let's see where we are in 6 months. I'll be intrigued to find out whether they are striking deals with other platforms, with other publishers, because I guess there's only so many pure Nintendo games they can actually put out on there before they need to reach out and get like a Final Fantasy 1 or and move down that route.
Yes, absolutely. Like I say, it's really good just to kind of keep it at that tight number, because it's like you kind of fire up Netflix sometimes and you don't know what you want to watch. You're like, I'll just look through this and figure out what I want to watch, and 20 minutes, half an hour later you're still doing that.
I've run out of time to watch something because I've been choosing.
It's like, right, I haven't got enough time now, I can't watch a movie, I'll watch a TV program, and then you just kind of, and it's yes. So same as you. I hope it's kind of kept to a nice tight list, but some really good games. And I'm looking forward to when we start getting SNES titles in there as well. I'm hoping that maybe the kind of next iteration will be that we'll get some SNES titles in there.
Yeah, I reckon it's going to give us some time with that. Wait for a lull in the release schedule, and then pop those in to get some buzz.
Oh, that'd be so cool. So, anything else that you've been playing?
Yeah. I keep saying I've been playing a moderate amount that hasn't been pirate related, and playing a few things from Game Pass. But the one that stuck out to me was Humans Fall Flat. I had a recommendation from a friend on this. And it's it's a weird ragdoll puzzle game sort of thing. If you've played like Gang Beasts, where you have to try and almost wobble this sack of a puppet around, Humans Fall Flat is almost like that. You have this almost just Play-Doh type man that just wanders around, but then your triggers control the hands, and so they either reach out and grab, or both of them could reach out and grab, and that's pretty much the entire mechanics. But you have the ability to grab and then move your body up and down, so you can operate switches or maybe jump and then drag yourself up. So it's a very, very simple premise to it all, but it's, again, the way it's layered. So you have to try and get yourself across chasms by leaping onto trapezes and then swinging yourself round and off again, or maybe trying to grab a fire extinguisher and throw it through a glass window. But because you are basically a ragdoll with barely any joints, and it's basically the momentum of your body turning around, you get this comedic effect of just you flopping and slapping around everywhere, and occasionally, hopefully if momentum keeps it in the right way, you can smash that window with the fire extinguisher. So it's half platformer, half physics demo, and it's just very silly. I think I was worried about what it would do very early on, because it seemed more gimmick than game. But then as soon as it showed me the nice little layering of you being able to jump, grab a ledge, and then haul yourself up just with the simple same mechanics it had been pushing up until then. So okay, we have something here. So it's quite nice. It's very situational. You have to push like train carriages around, or maybe jump up mountains and traverse like that. But it's got legs. It's got legs, and I would not have played it if it wasn't on Game Pass. So I tip my hat to its inclusion on that one.
Excellent stuff. And that was, I'm going to try that out. That sounds like so much fun, because I think it was being shown, wasn't it, at EGX? Because I think
I think it was there last year.
Right.
Oh, was it? Oh no, you're right. It was here this year as well. Yes.
It looks fun. It looks fun. I'm going to give it a try. I think I'll give it a bit of a... While I'm waiting for Forza Horizon to unlock later on, maybe I'll download it. Yeah. No, I've downloaded already. That's down. That kind of... It's there, waiting.
All 104.
It's like...
But Humans Fall Flat is also two-player as well.
Oh, right.
So,
okay.
I think that introduces its own level of absurdity as you try and get both of you to just lurch your way through a level. So that's going to be a good one for you and Nicola, I think.
Oh my goodness, yes, that sounds like so much fun. I'm going to download that for the weekend, definitely. I'm going to give it a try. Give it a try this evening. That sounds like so much fun. Cool. So that's in Game Pass?
Yes.
Nice.
And then one final game before we move on to the Spider-Man hour.
Yes.
Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 came out yesterday.
Yep.
And it's good. It's good so far. I'm only halfway through the first episode. I don't know how far you are through.
The same. I've probably about the same. I think I've played it for a couple of hours.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And I just played it at lunchtime today, and I got to the point that shocked us both, and stopped soon after that. So I have the cliffhanger or twist or whatever non-spoilery description I can put on it, but you'll know.
Yes.
The moment, that sort of thing. I like the way they've set it up so far. I'll keep on saying I'm happy that they haven't gone with Chloe's story again. I'm happy they are trying to move on with something else. I think there's a less weight of expectation when you try and introduce new characters.
Yes.
But I am intrigued how they're going to sew it into the world. But even if it turns into one of these just selection of stories, and what are they calling them? What do you call it when it's just like a compilation? A compilation of different tales just happen to have the same sort of themes. I am down with that. If that's what we can just expect from a Life is Strange brand, then let's hope this keeps on giving. But for the early opening act of Life is Strange 2, they have me. I'm along for the ride.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing that intrigued me that I had to message you yesterday was right at the start. It does ask you about Arcadia Bay. So I was like, why do you want to know this? It was like...
What are you doing?
Exactly. It pops up a question, which I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember which
way I
went.
That's the thing that shocked me most.
I know.
After how we've spoken about how Life is Strange has affected us, like it's as a storytelling masterpiece as far as we're concerned for gaming in recent times. And then you ask me, what did I do at the end? I'm glad it stuck with you. I'm glad your decisions mattered.
But it was really funny because I started looking at the kind of old. I was like, don't think we were in WhatsApp then. We were in Twitter. So I started going through our messages trying to find, like, there's so many. I was just trying to find. I'm sure it was around Christmas time. Really kind of like thumbing through, and it really made me laugh. And then luckily you replied, and it was so because I just sat there with that on the screen. It's like, what did you do to Arcadia Bay? And then I had to answer, but. It's really interesting to see how this episode starts off very, very much kind of in the same vein as that little teaser that they gave us, that little free-to-play,
yes.
The awesome adventure of Captain Max or whatever it was called. And I thought it's very similar to that, where you're going around a house and there are things that you need to do, and obviously that's very kind of the Life is Strange formula. But straight away, the thing that hit me with this, same as Life is Strange, is the way they do dialogue. It's very natural. The dialogue, the way that they are talking to each other, the way that the conversations that they're having just seem very natural. And it's very similar to things like Night in the Woods. It's very similar to Oxenfree, where they are very real conversations that they're having. And I instantly was just really enjoyed the characters straight away.
Cool. I completely agree. Just it feels like it's TV, a good TV show talking to you rather than you just watching a game. As always, we should compare stats at the end of an episode to find out how. But just to set the scene, what did you do about the chocolate bar?
I ate it.
I ate it as well. Yes. Okay. The big decisions are going 100% in our favour. Okay.
That's it. And it's really funny. And then there was another one which was where you were offered a cigarette and I declined.
I also declined.
Yes.
We'll talk about the reasons off air.
Yes.
Because I'd be intrigued. But okay, so we're on the same path.
So we're 100%. It's going to be the same as Life is Strange 1, where we're the same all the way through until the end, when you're a monster.
It's all right. You won't remember your decision at the end anyway, then, so it'll be fine.
It was so funny. I was like, did my decision to do X? Yeah. I couldn't remember what the result of that was, but it was just hilarious. It really made me laugh.
Like, Nicola, did I destroy someone's life or not?
I was that flippant. I'll ask James.
He remembers the callous choices. Yes.
But I loved it. It was just, it looks fantastic as well. It's Xbox One X enhanced, and I think in the bit which is just after the credits where you're walking down a road. Have you got to that bit? Yeah,
that's a bit I saved and quit at because I thought it was a reasonable point.
So there you're in Seattle. It's Mount Rainier. You're kind of around that bit, and that just looks stunning. I was just walking down that road, and I was just like, this just looks amazing. It looks really good, which is very similar to the Life is Strange Before the Storm. That also kind of looked incredible as well in that kind of stylized way that they do. It was just, I'm really enjoying it. Loving the characters, loving the puzzles that you have and the choices that you have, and like I say, it's just that the story so far has its hook to me, and I only stopped because I'm suffering with a cold, and I was like, I'm gonna go to bed. I felt really bad, so I just kind of and like I say, you had that moment where you did just, like I say, Nicola was playing next to me playing Spider-Man, and I was playing it with headphones on, and I gasped out loud, and I was taken back by this big moment, and I was like, oh, like that. And Nick was like, are you okay? And I had to explain what was happening on screen. But yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. I'm really enjoying it. I'm glad it's back.
Yes, yeah. I'm happy to jump in early on because I've got this tendency with the narrative episodic games to almost try and save them up so I can do them back to back to back. And I did that with a fair amount of Before the Storm. So this is, I'm happy I jumped in early on, especially as it's going to spread out the joy.
Yeah. Do you think that you'll do episode 1 and then maybe the other episodes you'll then collect and then do them, or will you think you'll be doing them when they come out?
Honestly, I think it depends on what comes out at the same time.
Right.
Because the way the episodic stuff comes out, I'm even happy just to push them all back. As I say, to almost box set them at that point. But I'm not quite sure when the next episode's going to drop, so we'll have to see when things like Hitman and the like touchdown as well.
Yes. Are you tempted by Red Dead if it comes out? If you believe it's coming out?
I'm to be honest, I'm getting to the point where I think I might owe Steve £1. I think it might be coming out this year. I'm not tempted by Red Dead, but that's in the same way that I wasn't tempted by the last Grand Theft Auto. I think I've just had too many sandbox games where you just cause mayhem, and I don't like Rockstar's anti-heroes. Like I don't like playing their characters. Yes. And I know they're well written, and I know there's a fair story around them, and there's like redemption, but I think most of them are just assholes. So I don't care for them. I think this is why I might have liked 3 and Vice City, because at least they were mute and you could put whatever character you want. Maybe you got caught up in this, but the more they flesh them out, the more I just don't like the characters.
Yes.
As people. Yeah. So I'm just going to skip this one. However, I have said that if the online stuff turns out to be a hoot, I will probably see how it is and jump in for that one. Because the idea of going on, I don't know, escapades with a horse and a revolver does sound like fun.
Yes.
So if that gets to a state where we're trying to round up a posse, then I could be tempted.
Yeah, the online. I think that's coming later, isn't it? I think it's coming about a month and change after the game comes out, which it needs to, because it needs to give you time to kind of finish that single player and then kind of jump into the multiplayer. But that looks like fun. I think every game it gives you access to the beta, so you get to kind of see what that's like. But yeah, no, I'm quite intrigued. I'm quite intrigued by the. I'm quite intrigued by the multiplayer, the online stuff of this. I'm going to get it because it looks amazing, and it sounds like it could be fun. But I actually totally see what you mean about the kind of anti-heroes, the kind of rough, disgruntled kind of baddie / goodie that you always have. It's just like, but it looks, great news today. I think Hitman has gone gold, hasn't it? So Hitman 2 has gone gold, so that is definitely coming out. So your kind of your game of the year is on its way, James.
I think that's going to be one that I might save for a day off or something as well. Maybe not the day itself, but yeah, just take to sit down and relax and really, really enjoy killing people. But, yeah.
Yes. It's slowly and methodically.
Yes, yeah. The more I say this, the more it says. I'm just, yeah. Maybe Grand Theft Auto is right for me after.
Yes. And then, speaking of Game of the Year, can I talk about Spider-Man now?
I'm going to start the stopwatch. Go.
No, I mean, I've said a lot about it, I think, in our last pod when we were chatting. I think, who was it who jumped in? It was Stuart and myself. Yep. Steve was still waiting for his copy to arrive. Good news is, update on that, Steve has his copy. I'm sure we'll be talking about it in the next couple of weeks with Steve. But I am continuing to absolutely love Spider-Man. It's really interesting. I've got to a point, and again, no spoilers, but I've got to a point in the story where it's almost becoming a bit like an Arkham game, where, lovely New York is kind of suddenly kind of getting a little bit more hostile. But it's absolutely fantastic. I'm still loving just doing the side quests, doing photo mode, as all you guys are very aware of. I'm loving doing photo mode. Photo mode's amazing. And now what I'm actually finding myself, because we've got Forza Horizon is out this evening, what I'm finding is I'm trying to push on the story now. So I'm actually trying to push on with the story. But the story is absolutely fantastic. The writing's great. It feels like it's popping straight off of a Marvel comic book. It's just, they've introduced, there's no spoiler, but they've introduced the Sinister Six. You see those guys, they've been on all of the posters. They're there, and the Sinister Six are just 6 bad guys, with Doctor, with Rhino and Vulture and things like that. And it's just, so they're great, and they all seem to have their own personalities. But what I'm enjoying kind of, it's just, I'm enjoying Spider-Man himself. Peter Parker is fantastic, but I'm loving all the little quips that you're getting with Spider-Man. I'm starting to unlock all more suits and stuff like that, but I still can't go back to the default. But I'm just loving it, that when I'm fighting, or I'm dropping in, or stealthily trying to take out guys, it's just those little one-liners. It's just the little kind of Spider-Man-isms that have been written into this game, and they are absolutely fantastic.
So they're still giving this many hours in, because I was worried that there would not be enough to sustain, like, you know, the amount of time that some people are putting into this game, because obviously a lot of people love it. So I expected the same lines to keep getting trotted out time and time again, but I guess they've covered themselves.
They really have, yeah. It's absolutely, and it's, you know, and keeping true to my 2018 listening to games instead of listening to a podcast. I think I had one morning when it first came out where I was listening to a pod swinging around, because all I was doing was collecting backpacks and unlocking Manhattan. But apart from that, I've been kind of headphones on or having it around the surround sound, which is incredible. If you have this game, if you have like surround sound, this game really does rattle around the speakers. You know, it does a really good job of that. But I just love it. And what I find, I think I said in our WhatsApp group, what I'm finding now is that the combat has really clicked. So I know what I'm doing. You know, occasionally I will be overwhelmed by a lot of bad guys, so I maybe find myself or move to another area where they have to come, where I have to funnel them to me, and then I can take them out. But actually kind of taking them out, switching to a gadget, activating a gadget, maybe kind of throwing out my spider bot or something like that. And and the one thing that I really have, now that I've got used to the combat, the one thing that I'm absolutely loving is just sticking bad guys to the wall. So they'll come running around a wall and you just fire your web shooter, which I've leveled up in the gadgets. I fire that and they just stick to the wall. Or there's another one which actually you fire them and it propels them back. It's actually got some power behind it. So you have someone running at you and you just hit that, they just fly. And if they touch a wall, they'll stick to a wall, otherwise they'll just fly off a rooftop. And, you know, and it's using all these different gadgets, it's mixing it up, using my suit ability to kind of really kind of power my fights up and getting my combo meter up and stuff like that. I'm really charging that up and doing all the special moves, and it's just spectacular. You know, you have to stop yourself pausing it and going into photo mode every time something happens, because you're just like, oh, that's lovely, pause, photo mode. Take a photo. I was in Grand Central Terminal yesterday, and it was just so gorgeous that I just like stopped the game, paused it, played around with the frames, played around. I did a black and white picture, which was just absolutely fantastic. And that's why, you know, there was a patch, I think, happened either yesterday or today, where they've added more modes now to there's like more colours and sepia and lots of different filters that you can add to your photos, and I just absolutely love it. I just think it's such a great game, and there's, like I say, the story is just pushing you around Manhattan. You're not kind of sticking to any kind of same place. So and the thing that I really enjoy is that now the bad guys that are kind of on the street have changed. So throughout the story, you notice that the baddies are changing. So when, say, if you're playing an Arkham game, it's always the same ones, and it looks like you've just copied and pasted the same guys around Arkham City. But here, there are different types. So as the game is going on, you just had normal street thugs, and then the normal street thugs turned into another batch of characters, I won't spoil, and now it's changed again. You know, and I'm really enjoying that. So it's not like you're just seeing the same thing. It's changing as you're going through the story, and it's just fantastic. It's such a great, polished video game, and I just absolutely love it.
Yeah, I think from the outside as well, I really am happy for you that it's lived up for expectation as well, because there are some things that come in that could easily just be blown away with hype, but this seems to be from multiple sources, not just your good self, because we know you happen to favour the superheroes. It's come home and it's delivered. Yeah. And yes. I think that's wonderful for the fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting. I mean, Insomniac Games are well known for their decent AAA games. You know, we had Sunset Overdrive on Xbox, which was great fun. Unfortunately, for Sunset Overdrive, there was a mechanic that I couldn't get to grips with, and that was that kind of almost that Jet Set Radio kind of grinding. There was something about that seemed foreign to me, that swinging around Manhattan doesn't, you know, it just feels very natural. And obviously Ratchet and Clank, which is a big one for me. I really enjoyed Ratchet and Clank, and for our house, you know, not only myself, Nicola, my nephew Will, you know, we all kind of played Ratchet and Clank a lot, you know, so it's so they have that pedigree, but they just seem to have just taken it to the next level with Spider-Man. So much so that, and I knew it would happen, Nicholas started going, oh, I like that. That looks good. Why are you doing that? And she's now playing Spider-Man. So we couldn't, for some reason, the PSN wouldn't allow us to recover her account. So we've had to create another account. So I just added an S on the end of it. It's now plural pies to the Dookie Pie. And so, but she's playing it. She's playing it now. She was like, what time are you going to pod? Because I want to play Spider-Man. And then as I left, I heard the Spider-Man theme being played as I was walking up the stairs. So she wasted
shooing
no
you
time.
out the door at this point.
Exactly. It was like, so she was like, so you're going to be playing Forza on the small TV for, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play Forza on the small TV. And I'm just like, I might go upstairs with the other 4K TV, go up there, if I'm relegated, to another TV to play Forza. But yeah, so we're both playing Spider-Man, absolutely loving it. And like I say, I'm happy to finish the story. I like where the story's going. I don't know if when I get to the end of the story, I don't know how much Sea of Thieves and Forza is going to take up kind of the next couple of weeks. But I'm happy just to kind of finish Spider-Man and then maybe put it down and then come back when the DLC, because I've already bought the Ultimate Digital Edition, whatever it was. So I've already got that DLC, which is coming out. I think it's October or November, late October, early November. So I could then jump back in then, spend some time with Sea of Thieves, spend some time with Forza Horizon, and then jump back in and then continue doing those little, because the maps are kind of opening up little sub quests and mini quests and things like that, so I'm not getting overwhelmed, which is good. I normally get overwhelmed in these open world games, but Spider-Man's doing a really good job of just going, don't worry, there's not too much here, you can just have these, and so which is doing my OCD really well. I'm really happy with that.
But you've already picked up all the backpacks, is that right?
Yes.
Yes. So ticking off some to completion at this point.
Yes, there was one which was Black Cat photo. You had to go and take these photos. The Black Cat kind of put these tiny little cats all around New York, and you had to go and find them. So I did that as well, because I think there was only about 16 of them. So I just kind of went round and just picked those off. And when I got into it, I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and do the rest. And then just, because it's so lovely just to swing in the sunset around New York, and it's just absolutely superb. So yeah, so there's lots more kind of dots on the map, but I'm happy with those dots at the moment.
Oh, grand.
So yes. So anything else you've been playing? Sea of Thieves. We had the big update today for Forsaken Shores. We had a fantastic evening the other night. There was me, yourself, and Ree.
Yep.
And that was so much fun. It was so much fun. It was almost like we were constrained to an hour, but I think we went 90 minutes. I think it was just before EGX, wasn't it? And we were doing some
I think everyone said, we really need an early night, but we've got an hour to kill. Does anyone want a quick sale? It's like, yeah. And then, we just get suckered in for one more chest. Oh, we've picked up another message in a bottle. Oh, there's a shipwreck. Oh, there's another shipwreck. Where are we? We've gone miles out. Yes. That's good fun. And we've got a session planned for definitely tomorrow, on Friday, and then potentially on Sunday to go through the new Forsaken Shores realm, going to see the Devil's Roar and all the volcanoes hidden within it, which I'm looking forward to. It's been another one where although I've obviously played, practiced, and tested the stuff at work, I haven't really just let loose and been on a voyage.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to seeing it through a different lens this time round. I jumped on at lunchtime just when the service went live to go and have a brief look, and we sailed close. In fact, most of the team sort of clustered round. It's like, we've got to sleep, and we were sailing quite far away because the spawn wasn't favourable initially. So we were there on a sloop just going through the night, and then as the sun rose, we just started seeing the volcanoes kick off in the distance, and there was just a mini sigh of relief in one respect that we put all the right numbers in, and then just like cheers, like yes, it's finally done. So looking forward to getting on a brigantine with you guys.
That's so fantastic, and congratulations, because it looks stunning. I bet at night time when you're getting close to Devil's Roar, I bet it looks absolutely stunning on like kind of HDR, kind of 4K HDR. But that looks absolutely incredible.
I look forward to you posting a few on the screenshots group at that point in time.
I did one today from our pre-EGX, which was a gorgeous sunset just behind a water tower. It was just so beautiful. I was like, and there was a really nice ship cloud was there as well, but I was like, screw the cloud. Look at that water tower, that sunset. It was gorgeous.
We'll have to try and find you a volcanic water tower. Then. I don't know if there are any, but we'll see what we can do.
The kind of two things don't go well, but I cannot wait. Like I say, I won't be on Friday, but I'm going to be on Sunday, and we will deploy the world famous spreadsheet.
It's all right now. We've also got rowboats.
Yes,
specifically put in to counter your ability to anchor 4 miles offshore. So
it's like, will you please give us a method? This guy does not know how to handle his.
It's all right. Your parking might save us, so the ship doesn't get sunk if we leave it out of range.
Finally, I'm going to become an alpha male in an alpha pirate in Sea of Thieves. Oh, that's fantastic! Right, it seems like a lot. We've been gaming. It's quite nice.
There's a lot of games. Yeah. Games have been gamed.
It's gaming season. Forza Horizon 4 is out today and tonight. And I cannot wait. But we'll talk more about that next week. So let's kick off the news. But before we get into the news, don't forget you can rate, review, and subscribe to this very podcast for free on iTunes and also on YouTube. So let's start the news section, and in the news section we have sad news of Telltale Games. Sony opens up to crossplay, and we have lots of free games for October. James, why don't you kick us off with the news with the sad times at Telltale?
Yes. Yeah, sad news that almost a week ago now, the Walking Dead developer Telltale laid off the majority of its staff. I think it was last Friday when Telltale Games announced they were keeping on only 25 employees, letting go the vast majority of the studio. And those 25 employees are there just to fulfill the company's obligation to its board and partners, which are pretty much just shutting the studio down by the sounds of things. So, almost out of nowhere. The developer responsible for The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us, and they did a Batman game as well, didn't they?
They did indeed, yes. And a Borderlands game as well.
Oh, yes, the Borderlands game as well, yes. Many narrative successes under their belt, but by reports from The Verge, it sounds like multiple funding streams never turned up. I think they had a deal with AMC that didn't quite get inked and signed, and so unfortunately it's basically mean the studio has been shuttered. Adding on from this as well, the season pass, the complete series of The Walking Dead's final season has been pulled from most digital stores as well. It seems like the story of Clementine will not be finished. But most importantly, there are now 200-odd developers, sadly, out of work. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the finer detail. It seems like a lot of them weren't exactly necessarily happy with some of the working practices of the studio as a whole. And how they've been talking since, I think that continues. There's been reports of them, the studio just going from one crunch to the next, basically just trying to push out as many products as possible without necessarily considering how much they ramp up, what the risks are as well, because they had so many things on the go at the same time. They still had the was it the Avengers one? They was talking about doing another Game of Thrones. There was just so many things in the pipeline, and yet at the core of it, they were just careering from one deadline to the next, and it didn't sound like it was healthy working practices for the staff, unfortunately.
I think the saddest thing about reading and listening about all of this is the fact that last Friday they just told everybody that they had to leave. That within half an hour they had half an hour at their desk and then they had to go. So it was like, save your work, do whatever you're doing, you've got 30 minutes to go. I think they let them back in a couple of days later, but it was so much so that they were just like, right, you've got to go. And I just think the way that they've kind of treated them, I mean, Telltale, I've always said on the pod, I love Telltale games. I've played them all. The only one that didn't kind of sit well with me was Minecraft, but they had Minecraft. They had Minecraft. They created 2 seasons of Minecraft, but this didn't sit well. And I think one of the things that really rubbed a lot of people, myself included, up the wrong way was that they tweeted, I think on Sunday night, they tweeted that, don't worry, we're cutting a deal right now to finish Clementine's story. And even though I bought the season pass, so I'm out now by 3-4 games, the fact that they hadn't paid all of their workers haven't been paid, so they've basically just been told to go. They were paid until the end of that week, but there was no severance pay. There was no redundancy for any of these guys. But yet they're talking about kind of getting this game out, and there was a lot of replies to that tweet from very big people in the industry, both from developers, from studio heads, and also from media as well. Basically, just saying, look, sort your guys out first. Give everybody what they deserve before you think about this game. As much as I wanted Clementine's story to be finished, and I do want it to be finished because I really enjoyed the first episode, I'd rather those guys not go without food, not go without money to kind of so if they're going to get some money in, that's where that money should go. That's where that revenue should go to the developers, to the people that have helped them with their brand. But it took me by surprise, because in 2012, when I first kind of really discovered Telltale, because I hadn't really played the Back to the Future game or anything, but in 2012, I think it was at Christmas, Walking Dead was getting Game of the Year awards across every site. It was like the Walking Dead took people by surprise, and so I just played that. I downloaded the entire season and played it, and I just loved it. Cried at the end of the first season, and I just thought it was just a fantastic set of games. And because they have been bringing out some big hitters like Batman, like Fable, they've had 2 Batman games. Fable's Game of Thrones, and there was even looking at doing Stranger Things as well. With all of this, you would just expect that these people, this studio, was going to be raking it in, would be flash for cash, because they had so many projects, and you wouldn't overstretch that far unless you had a nice healthy bank balance. And that's kind of what my opinion was from outside. I'm like, these games are licensed to print money, but how wrong I was.
But I think the problem is that they were a license at that point in time as well, because I would imagine that, we've criticised their engine in the past. Like you've said before that the engine ran like a dog on certain platforms, and that there was never seemed to be that much investment in bringing it up to scratch. I think they did one massive overhaul, but nothing revolutionary. And you could see that most, obviously hindsight's 2020, you could see that most of the dev effort was probably going into securing these licenses. Because I would hope and imagine that once you've done a number of these, you've got a pipeline, you've got a tool set, you've got a template that means that you can create these narrative devices, these areas, these storybook dioramas that you can wander around. And so actually most of the time, the costs seem to be going on creating those assets, creating the licenses, bringing them in, rather than maybe sprucing things up. And I do wonder whether they have been a victim of trying to play it too safe, shall we say? Because I didn't play anything really after the first series of Walking Dead because I felt I had the number on what they did.
Right.
Like, again, not besmirching the quality, but I started Walking Dead Season 2 and I went, well, this just feels the same. And the narrative wasn't enough to bring me in. And I think if you look elsewhere at things like Life is Strange, which we both obviously have been saying we adore, and what they tried to do with that over at Don't Nod, they tried to put their own twist on it. It's like they weren't relying on a license to sell the story, so therefore costs are obviously cheaper to begin with. But they also tried to introduce the different mechanics, like the time split, and try and put more, I guess, on the personalities that you might get with Clementine. But it's inside this broader story that you either bounce off of because you don't care for zombies. And so it seemed to be very much, you need to not only like this formula, but you need to like the IP that they're getting. And so were they just reducing their audience time and time again? Like, Walking Dead, was it just diminishing returns the more they kept renewing the license? I don't know, but I was equally disgusted. I was almost furious at that text. The fact that, like, the body wasn't even cold by that point. We were less than 48 hours later, and they're going like, "Don't worry, we'll try and finish the series." It's like, you had 200 developers. You had the chance to finish the series, and okay, money might have fallen through, but that's down to almost mismanagement at this point in time. You've screwed over these 200 people. There were stories of people moving across the company, even over the country, in the last week, in the last month, to try and join this company, and there was no alarm bells going off at all.
Yes.
I am honestly disgusted with this place.
The fact that they were, like you say, they were actively employing new people weeks before, then somebody, the higher management must have been seeing those red lines, and obviously, as you're saying, they were trying to secure some funding. I think they were looking at Netflix to actually have The Walking Dead running on Netflix, so on your TV, on your Apple TV, you'll be play it there. But if you look at Walking Dead, if you look at all these games, they are available on everything. We always laugh and joke that they're available on everything, even fridges. You could play them.
They are the doom of this generation.
They really are, and yet that didn't secure them kind of enough money. And like I say, did they overstretch? One of the positives that I saw out of this, and it really did warm my cockles on, I think it was like Sunday afternoon or Sunday evening, there were tweets coming out from Ubisoft and other studios in that area, because were they in Vancouver? Was it kind of around that way? I can't remember where the Telltale studio was, but there was basically Ubisoft basically put out a tweet saying to all of the Telltale developers, we're gonna throw a breakfast on Monday morning. Come down, come and talk to us, because these are talented guys. The stories are great. And like I say, I've enjoyed every story. The only one that really didn't get me was the Minecraft one, but everything else I really enjoyed. And they did some great things with Batman. They mixed up the whole Batman dynamic, which was really interesting to see. So obviously you got some good developers, and Ubisoft will basically saying, come over, we've got some vacancies, come and talk to us. And other studios followed suit as well, so offering them coffee and a shoulder to talk to, someone to talk to, and also look at the jobs that they had and the opportunities. So that made me feel warm and fuzzy that the gaming community, whether it's studios, whether it's players, we all do kind of rally together when someone's kind of having a tough time.
I completely agree. It's like you realise the good in the world at that point in time, where people are trying to reach and extend a hand out just to try and give people a lift up.
Yes,
so,
yes.
But I don't know what else to say on this one, to be honest. But I do. There's a bitter part of me that hopes that we don't see the rest of the Walking Dead series at this point in time. If they're willing to screw over their former staff just to try and get the business deal done, then I hope it doesn't work, unless there's some sort of severage packets in there. But I think they are so far down the pecking order in terms of creditors and everything else legal that I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not looking for my money back on the season pass. It is what it is, and I think I paid like £30 or something like that. But there's nothing. When you download that title, you're not guaranteed 5 episodes. You're not. But it's really interesting because episode 2 of the final season of Walking Dead came out yesterday, and I have no requirement, or I have no need to download that game. There's no point, until there is just no point. There's no point to downloading it, because no matter how good, I know people have put blood, sweat and tears and everything else into this by the sounds of it. I just can't bring myself to play it.
It's got a weird. I must have a weird feeling to it at that point in time.
I was when I finished the first episode, it left you on a big cliffhanger. Clementine's got a great story. It looked like a great story coming for this final Clementine episode, but no, I'm happy to just let that episode 2 just sit on my hard drive, never being played. Well, I don't think. I think with Telltale games, you have to actually go in and download it. I don't think it kind of downloads in the background, so it's not like a patch. You have to.
Yeah, I guess it's pure DLC, isn't it? The way that works. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not even going to kind of kick that off. I'll just leave it as it is.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs. Like I say,
yeah. I think that's the thing we have to pull away from. At the end of the day, we've got now 200 people who have lost their jobs, and so thoughts go out to them at the end of this one.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, indeed, thoughts go out to everyone who has been affected. But let's get on to some happier news, some stranger news, which was, I think it was yesterday or Tuesday of time of pod. Sony announced that they are changing their policy, which is going to allow them to play cross-platform. Which
I was this came out of almost nowhere. I was imagining this would come out something like the PlayStation Experience or something like that. This would be an announcement, except it just like gently appeared in my Twitter feed.
And then suddenly rippled in your Twitter feed with people going, "Oh my god, wow, they're incredible."
What?
One of the funniest things was, it's always the way. If you're a corporation and you're tweeting, it must just be horrible looking at Twitter, because a couple of things happened this week on different kind of items that I follow. One of them, my Todoist app, my to-do app, Todoist, where it had a dark mode, and they released it, and they was like, "We've released dark mode," and you look at the tweets after, it's like, about bloody time. What's kept you? It's just like, these guys have put effort into this. So the first
never read
tweets.
The comments.
Yeah.
Rule 1, never read the comments.
Yeah, exactly. I just like, it's just really. So anyway, so PlayStation have announced that they are going to change their policy, and there was as James was saying, there was a notice that went up from John Cadera, who is the president and CEO of SIE, on the blog post, just basically saying that the first paragraph kind of almost sums it up. It says, following a comprehensive evaluation process, which reads, Fortnite have bugged us and everybody's bugging us and we're the bad guys here. But following a comprehensive evaluation process, SIE have identified a path towards supporting cross-platform features for selected third-party content. We recognise that PS4 players have been eagerly awaiting an update, and we appreciate the community's continued patience and bugging on Twitter. And we have navigated through this issue and found a solution. So the rest, I'll put a link in the show notes to the blog post, but it basically just says that they're going to open up, and the first game that they're going to open up and play will be Fortnite, and I believe that is live now. As time of pod,
that's good.
You can now play Fortnite. It's in a beta state, they call it a beta state, and they'll be improving it over the week. So at the moment, if you had a PlayStation account, a Fortnite PlayStation account, you couldn't play on any other platform because it locked it down. So it locked down that. But they're going to release that, so you'll be able to kind of play your PlayStation account now on your Xbox, on your Mac, on your Switch, and anything that you buy on Xbox, you'll be able to use in PlayStation. So it really is kind of true cross-play and cross-progression, I think, is kind of where Fortnite's kind of coming from. But then they say that they're going to be other third-party content, and for me, I think I'm reading Minecraft, I'm reading Rocket League, because I think Rocket League who flicked the switch accidentally one weekend, or I think it was Fortnite. Oh, was it? I think it was Fortnite that accidentally did it, because I remember Unreal being involved in some respects, but yeah, Rocket League I think was the first one that really tried to blow apart the boundaries, shall we say, between consoles, like with Xbox and Switch and PC and what have you. I really like this news. You have to tip your hat to Sony for doing this as well, because they still didn't have to. No. Like, they're the market leader. They're the ones calling the shots. But whether they just decide, like, no, this is for the players, or whether there was the lack of a PlayStation experience in the coming months meant they wanted to have a boost, or as you say, maybe Unreal were just on the phone every day going like, can we play Fortnite with Xbox, please? Yes. It's good. I think this opens up a world of possibilities, because we are getting hopefully to a point where platforms aren't necessarily a boundary, and I hope this becomes more and more so, especially in these games that require huge numbers of players. Because at the start of this generation, and even actually this year, like we've still got friends who have only got one platform. I mean, we're in a very lucky position where we've got all the platforms, and so when we actually try and come to like corral people together, it's like, well, I haven't got this one, I haven't got this one. So the more this becomes viable, the more this becomes a possibility in this era, this is going to be superb. Like, we don't have to worry about if you've got Xbox or PlayStation or Switch. I've just got FIFA. Let's play FIFA tonight, and through some metric, through some means, we can join up online. And
This is probably the future where there's just, one console and what have you. It's pie in the sky. But this is obviously a good step towards that. We've got all three platform holders now going, it's good. It's good to play together. Yeah. And the more this opens up, the better, I think, for the players.
Absolutely. In this blog post from Sony, their John Cadera, he's mentioning Xbox, he's mentioning Nintendo Switch, where normally, and Phil Spencer's been doing that as well for a couple of years now, where he mentions PlayStation, he mentions they congratulate each other on Twitter, but Sony have always said other platforms, they've never listed them. So actually by mentioning them, and actually saying the name was a positive first step. And I'm the same as you. I would love to see my mind instantly goes to The Division, goes to Call of Duty with a Battle Royale mode coming out this year. How great would that be? Okay, you still get content first on PlayStation, you still get that, you still get your content exclusive and your first party games on both Xbox and also on PlayStation, but the fact that when you jump into these third party games, you're right, okay, who's up for a game of FIFA this evening? And that's it. And that just blows my mind, and that's always something that would be great with our next Xbox, our PlayStation 5, that was a feature, that was something that we're looking at rather than kind of just pretending or pie in the sky or hoping and wishing. But let's take what we've got, which is Fortnite cross-platform, and that's fun. We all said when we were at EGX, maybe we should jump into this Fortnite just for one Sunday, just for like a giggle, just to kind of see what goes on in this game and in this world. And now we can, because it doesn't matter what console you're on. This is
it's true. Although we kept saying it's EGX, didn't we? Is that if we see a free Fortnite booth where there's 6 spots, we should go on and say, what is this game? Excuse me, youngster, could you tell us what's going on here?
So you build and shoot. Not just you run around.
I'm just building. Leave me alone.
How does one floss? And it's just, but that's it. It's great. It's a really good first step, and I'm happy that Sony have done, because you're right, they didn't have to do it. There's a lot of other things that people are asking for in the network, on the Sony network, that is not this. People want to be able to change their usernames. There's a big push for that, and maybe they're just trickling this out because right now we haven't got a PSX. There isn't a PSX right now. They haven't announced one yet, so maybe they're not doing one this year. Although, segue, I don't know, I don't think we've got it in the news, but Microsoft are having a PSX style gathering, so they've got XO 18 coming this year, which is kind of later in the year.
That's what you tweeted about. Oh,
yeah, okay. In Mexico City. So in Mexico City, so they've got XO 18, which is almost like a PSX but for Xbox. I'm hoping the XO 19 will be in London. XO 18 is in Mexico City, and yeah, there'll be news, there'll be new announcement, there'll be some third-party stuff. These were huge. EXO were quite big deals. They've announced a lot of things. They announced the acquisition of Rare at an EXO. That's kind of how big they are. It's almost like another E3. It's another kind of almost E3 style showcase.
Spaced out across the years. Yeah,
and it's just really cool. So we don't have a PSX yet, but maybe the fact that we have an XO 18, Sony are like, oh, we should do something again, and they're
quick, scrape together some games.
They'll try to book the Microsoft Theatre in LA. Let's book it, because it normally happens around the Game Awards, doesn't it? Or around the Keeleys.
Yes.
We normally kind of get it around that time. So we haven't had anything yet, but it's good to see that we're just getting these little iterations, these updates, and yeah. So right now, Fortnite is cross-platform.
Cool. We're also sticking with PlayStation for the next news as well, with the it's novel. You might not have heard of this before, Anthony, but they're releasing a mini console.
What?
I know. So inspired, like Nintendo leading the way. Sorry, it's me being PlayStation bitchy. That's so rude. But the PlayStation Classic has been announced, and we'll have a total of 20 original PlayStation games. It comes in with a couple of replica controllers. I can't remember the exact words they use, but they are the original PlayStation controllers. None of your DualShock malarkey.
No.
You've got a D-pad, and you've got to like it. So yes, this will be coming out this year before Christmas, and so far the only 5 games that have been announced are Final Fantasy VII, which is coming to everything, Jumping Flash, Ridge Racer Type 4, Tekken 3, and Wild Arms. So a bit of a mixed bag, I think, in that first 5. Not sure when the other 15 will be announced, but I guess it gives them time to try and pull together some licensing agreements. Although, to be honest, they haven't got that much time, so I'm hoping that it's just a staggered press announcement.
Yes.
So what do you make of it? It's going to come out at around £90, €100, and do these games tickle your fancy?
It's quite interesting because I've enjoyed playing backwards compatibility on Xbox, and for me, I kind of almost want this on my PlayStation rather than on a separate one. But what I do like, and what I did kind of I was thinking about it the other day, was if you had the NES and the SNES minis, which I know you have, and also this, they would look really nice in almost some kind of like shelving unit, as almost a kind of homage.
Tiny shelving unit.
Exactly, yeah, you get some, what's the stuff from IKEA?
Kallax.
Yeah, that's it. So you get that kind of angle it slightly so you can see them. I just thought they would look really cool. But I do like the idea that I wish you could play with your PS4 DualShock. But obviously that would increase the price, I guess, if you had to have some Bluetooth connector. But I think, this is great. They've got some. I remember getting my PlayStation. I remember playing Tekken and Destruction Derby and all of those games, thinking it doesn't get any better than this. So it does have. I'm of a certain age, so I was working, I think, when the PlayStation came out, when the very first PlayStation came out. I think I was working. I think I was doing desktop publishing for a children's books just off of Oxford Street. So I remember kind of coming home with a PlayStation from HMV or Virgin in Oxford Street tucked under my arm and then it just hiding away for that entire weekend playing this. So it does have a nostalgia pang. It's not retro for me, obviously, but it has a nostalgia pang. And so, yeah, I was very tempted. I'm very tempted to buy it. The fact that I can plug it into the HDMI port in the front of my receiver, down, so I can have it displayed somewhere, but then when I want to play it, I can just plug it into the receiver. I quite like the idea of that. It's quite. What about you, James? Are you tempted?
I'm not yet. I'm honestly waiting to see what the rest of the games, the lineup looks like. Because the thing that causes me to pause, at least, is I didn't have an original PlayStation. Back then, I wasn't working, and so had to rely on Christmas presents and the like. And so that was N64 era, wasn't it?
Yes.
So I went down the N64 route, and so all my presents requests were channeled down those bulky cartridges rather than another console. So I don't have the initial attachment to it. So I can remember going around friends' houses to play the likes of Ridge Racer and Tekken, but I don't have the true connection with this. But I wouldn't mind giving this a go. Maybe this is my way to get back in. Like Final Fantasy VII, I think, is a great addition. That's obviously a headline one. That's leading with it. But then after that, I worry that the lack of an analog stick will actually put some people off, because if you think about some of the best PlayStation games, you need that flexibility, you need that analog movement rather than being stuck with a D-pad. Because I think there's things like Ape Escape, isn't it, like the true classics that you can't play on the D-pad, if I remember right. I could be misremembering.
No, that's right.
Or at least it's a lesser version, and I can't imagine playing things that are locked to those 8 directions. I also have I wonder what they're going to do, because they've obviously re-released Crash Bandicoot.
Yep.
They've re-releasing Spyro. I think they've re-released Sly Cooper as well. So are they going to keep those out because they've got a package elsewhere? Nintendo have just basically sold their back catalogue so often in so many places. I don't think they cared they were selling Super Mario for the 479th time. But this is so fresh, like Spyro isn't out yet, so that probably means that it's not going to be on here. So the lack of 20 games, and this lack of clarity means I am staying away for the moment and seeing how they round out this list.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because obviously Final Fantasy VII is going to be released on Switch. I think it's because we had the Nintendo Direct and that was coming on Switch. It's coming on Xbox. So it's kind of... So, I mean, for me, Final Fantasy VII would be, whilst we wait for the remake, it's never going to happen. Whilst we wait for the remake, you could be playing it on your Switch, on the go. And I've always said on the pod, I never got past the second disc. So I only got to disc 2 or 3 in Final Fantasy VII, so I never had the chance to kind of play it all through, which is good because I'm not going to play the remake. Maybe that's a time for me to then play it on this classic or get it on Switch. But I love the idea of I've pre-ordered it on Amazon, so I have pre-ordered it. But obviously, we're going to get a list of all of those other 15 games before it comes out. So if I'm still kind of end of November, still kind of on the fence, not sure, I can obviously just cancel my pre-order. But I've just kind of almost put a stake in it because these things do have a tendency of selling out quite quickly. Yeah,
I hope they actually meet supply though, because there was something weird about the artificial scarcity of the NES and the SNES classics that Nintendo purposely didn't put enough into the market. I say purposely. They was obviously trying to make 3DSs and Switches at the same time, so they only had so much of a production line. But the fact they said it's like the first time round, like the NES, no, this is it. If you can't get it by January, it's done.
Yeah.
And it's so hyping and pumping up the prices. So I hope that they at least put this on sale without a close by date. Then allow everyone, even if not necessarily straight away, to get what they want. Because I could be brought around. The idea of having a cute console like the size that you can fit in the palm of your hand on the shelf is appealing.
Absolutely. I do feel, I mean, my hope is that we're going to get an N64 classic. I would love a little N64 with all those. That would be fantastic.
Oh my word, yes.
That would be so good. There'd be so many games that you could just play on. Like, it would be amazing, and that I would love. And I just I can see it now, kind of as a little kind of side shelf, all of them at an angle, just there, looking beautiful. And I just think that's a really lovely kind of evolution of gaming.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I would kill for an N64 one. That'd be amazing.
It would be so cool. I at EGX again. Saw the Dreamcast, and I've got a Dreamcast and a Saturn in storage. And I'm just I've played them before, but I wanted to play them with the gun games, but then they don't work, as you and Manny kind of informed me, and I was like, but I just want to, so you just want to continue going with these minis. You want a Dreamcast mini, you want a Saturn mini, you want, just keep going, because it would just be, but I'm guessing the further that we get on with these consoles, the bigger the games are going to be, and the bigger storage you need, and then the bigger the console will be.
It's not even the size. I think it's the complexity of the emulation as well.
Yeah.
If like from what we did on Rare Replay, like the N64 is a terrifying beast at times, and obviously Nintendo wrote the book quite literally on it. So hopefully they will have a far better handle on how to support all the various gubbins that you could put inside the cartridges, because I think cartridges are worse than discs because you could put your own chips in there, so goodness only knows what people did back then. But I think once you get past that, it's a complexity, but it's also the power of the little box, because you can get a Raspberry Pi to do most things, but obviously the smoother you want it, maybe the more you'll have to pay. And you can see it creeping up, because the NES and the SNES were £60, I think, and this one's £90, and that's because maybe it's licensing, maybe it's because they actually need a bigger, I don't know, set of powerful horses underneath the hood just to try and get it through.
Yep, and they're also giving you 2 controllers, which is great fun, because obviously they're probably trying to put a lot of those multiplayer games in as well. But yeah, like I say, I've pre-ordered it. I will wait just at the end of November just to kind of see what that full list is. But right now, I'm kind of, there's lots of games that I wouldn't mind playing again, even if it's just a nice little kind of Sunday afternoon of just like similar to the Netflix style on Nintendo. You just jump
just
through.
A waltz down memory lane, isn't it, at that point?
It's great. Oh, I remember this. Oh, I just played the
yeah.
Because with the PlayStation, a lot of the games were, you got the PlayStation demo disc with the magazine, and then you would play the demo. So I played a lot of PlayStation games, but a lot of them were the demos. It was like
I'm imagining that's why. No, I don't want 20 games. Can we have 20 demo discs,
Yes.
please, pre-installed on this?
Oh my god, that would be so cool. That would be amazing. But yeah, but that's it, and it's just so that's coming out. It's coming out, I guess, in the US and UK. It's on the 3rd of December. So pre-orders are open now. But it does look good. Does look good indeed.
Yes. And wrapping up our news for the week, we have the announcements for the Games with Gold and PlayStation Plus for October. Anthony, I believe you have a list tucked away somewhere of what we can see on Xbox Live.
I do indeed. Thank you very much. I do. So we have quite a good lineup this month for October for Xbox Live's Gold lineup. We have from the 1st to the 31st of October. We have Overcooked. So
that's so good. I'm honestly surprised they didn't put this out before Overcooked 2 come out. So I'm not quite sure the reasons behind this, but you can't knock it because it is a great game no matter what you say, Mapu.
I can't believe you need a new brother, James. I can't believe that he didn't like Overcooked.
I can't believe we're related.
I know. Sometimes I'm just perplexed. I'm like, really? But I think maybe he's just, now that, his situation's changing and there's a lot more importance on that relationship, then maybe that's going to add an element of danger to Overcooked, and now he's going to love it.
So I see what you mean. So there's more to lose.
Yes.
Now they're yes.
The agency is greater. Is that the right? Yes. So, but I'm sure Matt's going to love it. He will love it. We will make him love it. But Overcooked is coming out from the 1st to the 31st of October, and then also on Xbox One, Victor Vran is also coming out. That's from the 16th of October to the 15th of November. So kind of, I guess, covering Halloween.
Yeah, I'm having to Google Victor Vran, and it looks like it's a Van Helsing.
Yes, very much
sort
so.
of thing.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
Yeah. It looks interesting. I think I've seen it pop up a couple of times when it's been out. I'm not sure if there's actually a sequel as well. There's a Victor Vran 2, more Vran. I don't know if that was actually the subtitle, but that's coming.
Vran's back.
Vran, the return of Vran. And then on Xbox 360, compatible with Xbox One, of course, we have Stuntman Ignition, and that's from the 1st to the 15th. And then on the 16th to the 31st, we have Hitman Blood Money.
It's an interesting mix because I can remember playing Stuntman back when it first came out, and it was a novel little game. If it's the one I'm thinking of, that particular version, it is you are having to race or run or through, but it's almost like a rhythm action game where you have to follow the cues as what to do. Drive here, go through this, jump over that, make sure you hit this cue. So it was not at all what I was expecting. I was expecting more like, I guess, like a GTA or a Burnout where you just get to go nuts and just do stunts freely. But it was. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for what it was. And I'm half tempted to go back to Hitman Blood Money just to see how far the game has evolved. Just in terms of the size of the levels, like the pure mechanics, because I think that might have been a bit more action-based. I think they still had like the clockwork levels where you had to monitor everything, but it wasn't quite as refined,
yes,
shall we say. Still good, but not as refined.
Yes, absolutely. I remember it being a good game, but you're right, it's very much kind of A to B to C. There are a couple of levels where they just kind of go crazy, but it was very scripted.
Yes.
Indeed, and I think the Stuntman Ignition, you were a Hollywood stuntman, so that's why because I thought the same. I was like, oh, this is like Burnout, but it's actually you're a Hollywood stuntman, and then you have to kind of do a barrel roll, jump through here, follow this, do that sort of stuff. So it's very interesting. So that's the Games with Gold for October. Also, whilst we're talking about Xbox, we have the Game Pass, the additions to Game Pass. So this is becoming a thing now, where they're obviously every month we're getting brand new titles and a whole slew of titles that are added to Game Pass. And this month we have Forza Horizon 4 is coming on the 2nd of October, so on Tuesday of time of podding. But we also have Metro 2033 Redux, so that's the second Metro game.
That's impressive.
Yeah, and then we also have Wolfenstein: The New Order as well.
Huh. They are... It's again to the point going like, I haven't played a couple of those, and it's the kind of thing that would push me off getting Hitman, because I go, those are some prime AAA games at that point.
Absolutely. I mean, last Christmas, everybody was playing Wolfenstein: The New Order. It was the big game to play, and it looks stunning on Xbox One X. And so there's some other games. We've got Split Second, which I think we were talking about on the pod a couple of months ago, which was that racing game where you can trigger explosions and things like that. So I'm sure we were chatting about that. I thought it was Manny was kind of like when you and Manny were podding. And then we also have Indiana Jones, Lego Indiana Jones. Which is great. That's coming for those people that haven't played that, and there's a whole new set of Lego games that are coming out. They're re-releasing Harry Potter, aren't they, on Switch and Xbox One X enhanced? I noticed the other day.
Yes, yeah, they came out on the PlayStation I think last year, and so this is reaching the other consoles. So I imagine when Ali gets word of that, we will be getting another 1,000 achievement points for her account.
It's so, but they got it. It's on the Switch as well. It's on the Switch. It's like, why can't we have achievements as well on crossplay? Because I just love it.
I wonder if that's what I just here, Ali. Here is Harry Potter Lego on the Switch, and that's it. I have the telly to myself for the rest of the you have it in handheld mode. Just you go over there
because it's both games, so it's like all years. It's all of the movies that covers all. It says there are two really big games in there. You would have a very quiet alley for a while. So I was thinking about getting that. I was thinking about getting that for Nicola for our flights because we were going to play Mario Party on the fly. But I'm not sure if you can. I think we'll be very annoying.
It's a lot of wiggling and waggling and jostling and flicking.
It would just be very annoying couple on the plane. So we've also got things like Half Genie Hero, so Shantae Half Genie Hero, which I heard some really good things about. I think it's kind of like a side-scrolling kind of platform game, but I've heard it's got a really lovely animated style to it. So that's kind of coming to Game Pass. I'm going to jump in and have a bit of a play of that. So they're all the kind of games that are coming in October. So I think Game Pass and Xbox Games Live, they've got some great games. Obviously, Forza Horizon 4 is the big one for October, but they managed to put in Wolfenstein: The New Order as well at the same time. So if you're waiting, these all come live on the 1st of October. Like I say, and Forza is coming on the 2nd of October.
And then over on PlayStation, it seems like there's some a good selection of games as well. Very apt for the time of the year. We have Friday the 13th coming to PlayStation 4, so a good horror one for that. Also, Laser League, which I've heard a lot of people talking about since this got announced. I haven't actually played Laser League myself, but it's a futuristic sport where I think it's single screen and two teams against each other, and I think it's basically trying to capture that same sort of vibe that Rocket League did back in the day, where it's just had this quick, bright, just fast multiplayer game that you don't get bogged down with things like Madden or what have you. But I've heard a lot of buzz about this one.
Yes, I'm just having a look at the trailer now, and I think this was the game that Matt was trying to get us into because it looks absolutely fantastic. I love it. It's almost like a Tron-style game, isn't it?
Yes. I think it's like 3-on-3, and you just have to try and bounce a ball around, and you got different shields and different setups to try and get through. Yeah, it's intriguing.
Yes.
Intriguing. Yeah, I see what you mean by the Tron as well. It's got these like gates that opens up around players and slices through like the light cycles.
Yes, indeed. It feels very much kind of inspired by that. It looks great.
Yes, yeah. But the list continues. What else do we have on there, he says, because he's realised he's changed tab and lost the other one whilst watching that trailer. Also got Knowledge is Power, which is one of the quiz games that you can play on your phone. We've played that a few times, and tiny pacing problem in my mind, but it's good. It's good. Sort of in the same vein as sort of Jackbox and the like, but does some nice stuff with the cameras. Master Reboot, The Bridge, Rocket Birds 2, and 2064 Read-Only Memories, which I've also heard good things about, also round out the list across PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. So a good smattering there.
Yes, absolutely. The 2064, which is kind of on Vita and PS4, that I've heard, it's kind of almost a cyberpunk thriller, isn't it? It's a very kind of...
Yes.
16-bit kind of style, but it looks absolutely fantastic, and I've heard lots of good things about that, so I'm going to be trying that out as well. So yeah, there's a really good mix. It's quite interesting, isn't it, when you're looking at these kind of quote-unquote free games coming into this time of the year, because you start getting all these big hitters. We've got Forsaken Shores, we've got Forza Horizon, we've got Hitman, and all those games that we've been talking about, as well as Call of Duty and Battlefield. And then you have these free games, so you'd always wonder whether these platform holders are like, do we need to put really good ones out because they're going to be playing all those AAA titles?
It's almost like counter-programming, though, isn't it? At that
really
point,
is.
you're gonna have something huge like your Forza. Let's have a laser league to counter that, and it scratches a different itch at that point. So
yes, and that's why it's quite nice to have that knowledge as power as well, especially coming into the Christmas season, because then it's everyone can use their mobile phones. So you get a whole load of people around the house and just play that as well as Mario Party. But it would be just good fun, and I love those games where you have your tablet or your phone, because everybody knows how to use those, so that there's not that kind of, I can give it to my dad without him being lost at what a controller is or anything like that, because he knows how to use his phone, so it works so well. So having one of those titles in the bag ready for Christmas is good fun.
Yes, yeah,
fantastic. I have actually just shut down the dock, but that's about it. I'm just looking through. I'll get rid of that bit. Right, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening, James. Big thank you for pulling up the mic.
Pleasure as ever. Thank you for calling me back.
Excellent stuff. Don't forget, you can find us on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod. You can find us on YouTube, and also Gamers of Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox One club. Just a note, with the club, we'll probably be resurrecting the Forza Horizon, the Gamers of Lost Spark Car Club. So good they named it twice, with Forza Horizon coming out, so I will have more details about that. James, where can people catch up with you?
I am Big Sheep on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN and Nintendo.
Fantastic. For me, I'm Chessman on Xbox Live, Nintendo Switch, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. That's about it. I'm going to go wait for Forza Horizon.
Just watch the timers.
Just sit there, pressing the button every now and then, going, is it free? Is it down yet? Is it there yet? Is it there yet? Bye-bye.
Bye.
Terrible outro. I just can't stop talking, obviously.
It's gone. It's done. They just fade to black at that point in time. It's fine. Just playing. Da 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 da.